Giving you the real from A to Z surrounding the Dallas Cowboys. News, updates, rumors, transactions, takes, and more. So strap up, Cowboys Nation, and start your day off with A to Z Sports. Live with Will Steele.
3, 2, 1.
Here we go. Good morning. Good peak. Welcome to A to Z Sports Live, presented by Boston Scientific and presented by The Cochran Firm. Streaming live on YouTube and Facebook. I'm your host, Will Skywalker Steele. Boom. Yes, indeed. We are live here at the Cochran Firm. Looking out at the golf little thing here. Nice little view there. Some games. The lawyers. Brian's chilling over there. The firm. Nick. And we ready to talk some Cowboys. Later on today, I got 3 X factors I want to talk about that I think the Cowboys, or could at the very least, play a big factor in Dallas Cowboys getting this dub. We'll talk about that with Brian later. We'll bring him on to the show. He'll sit right here. I'll put the heat on. In the roundup, more injury news, more injury updates, plus a streak, right, that I think the Cowboys have a chance at keeping alive. In fact, if they keep this streak alive, I think the Dallas Cowboys will get the dub. I do. It's one of these streaks that the Cowboys haven't had since 2011. So make sure y'all keep sticking around with that. Shout out to the Bomb Squad in the building. Bomb Squad! Appreciate y'all. Appreciate y'all for being here. You still can call into the show, 351-999-3787 if you want to. That's the phone line right there, 351-999-3787. It is the phone line, Pulse of the Nation, brought to you by the Cochran Firm, which you can see to the left of you on the screen, and all around me is their studio. They have an actual podcast studio in here. That's pretty damn cool if you ask me. But what's good with y'all? We got almost 200 up in here, so we can just go right into it. It's going to be a very smooth show. I'm really eager to sit down and talk to Brian about our beloved Cowboys, and then we'll get to the meat and potatoes of things. We'll talk about these 3 X factors, all right? Let's get into it. Old school.
It's time! It's time! It's time! It's time! It's time! It is time for.
It's time for the morning roundup. Round 'em up, boys.
Man, that was the old school dip. I ain't heard that in a while. But let's get to this injury report that came out on Thursday. So we'll get to where there's some conflicting reports. Let's start off with Diggs and Michael Gallup, who are also on it again. Did not practice. Y'all getting a little bit worried. We'll see what happens with Diggs and Gallup today. That's the big day. But they have been participating in the virtual meetings for the Cowboys. If they're participating in that, I feel fine. But if they're out today, then I start to worry just a little bit. And we talked about this yesterday on Vacha's show. If you had to have 2 of these 3 guys and a third guy I'm going to talk about here in a second, out, kind of rank the order of, I don't want to say importance, but concern. And if you don't have Diggs and you don't have Gallup was the one we were like, okay, you throw in Noah Brown. We've been here before. But no Diggs would be interesting to me, even though Matt Ryan's Matt Ryan and their receivers aren't great. It would take our secondary, specifically the cornerbacks, it would take that respect level down a ton. So I'm going to keep an eye out on this Diggs situation. The other one was my cousin, Terrence Steele. Terrence Steele was out, and here's the conflicting reports. First, heard illness, then they reported non-injury / personal, and then I went on .com and they're saying illness. So I'm not sure what it is. It is flu season. It is, December. I know it's December now. I know it's Texas, so it's a different type of scenario, but they travel around the country, and this seems to be going on everywhere in the country. So Terrence Steele has been part of the illness, I guess. I guess he's been part of this illness situation. If he's not ready to go, they've got Avante Collins. They've got Josh Ball. We talked about Jason Peters potentially being over there. But it's a good pass rush the Cowboys are going to be going up against. So I would love to have Terrence Steele. I'd love to have all hands on deck. Just me. Anthony Barr participated again. It looks like he will be back. But at what capacity? We don't know just quite yet. I think he'll be a start. As much as I want to see Damone Clark continue to go, until they show me otherwise, I feel like Anthony Barr is going to go right back into his role, which to most of us is unfortunate. I think Damone Clark is starting to find his way, but it sounds like he's good to go. Pat Walker talked to him, and he pretty much gave him a, yep, I'm ready. But we'll see. Warm-ups got him last time and against the Minnesota Vikings, and if he warms up again and tweaks it, we'll be back to Damone Clark season. So we'll see what happens there. Other than that, Jaron Kearse continued to be limited, and DeMarcus Lawrence also, continued to be limited. So we'll keep an eye out on that for today's injury report. Over on the other side, the biggest one to come out for the Colts was Jelani Woods, y'all. Again, draft darling, he just snapped. He just kind of broke out in the last game against the Steelers. I believe 8 receptions, 98 yards, something along those lines. And he didn't practice again. And this time, it's not illness. He's dealing with I want to say quad and an upper body injury. I think shoulder and quad. So 2 different parts of his body are injured, and he did not practice in either Wednesday or Thursday. Looks like he's trending to not play. So we're talking about, one of their weapons that started to break out not being available on Sunday. Good for the Cowboys. Just saying, I'll be all right, but good for the Cowboys. All right, let's talk about this streak that I briefly mentioned in the opening. One of the things that all reporters, analysts, fans are talking about is Dallas Cowboys' potential pace for the sack record. They lead the NFL in sacks at 45, and they've got the most pressures in the league. They're threatening that sack record, but nonetheless, they have the best pass rush in the NFL. Funny thing though, I don't give you a magnifying glass to this stat right here. We remove all context, and I told you the Dallas Cowboys have given up the least amount of sacks in the NFL. You'd say, man, that offensive line, boy, I tell you, got the best pass blocking unit in the world. Cowboys Nation, your Dallas Cowboys still rank 32nd in pass block win rate. It's kind of crazy, man, how this has happened. And over the last 2 games, they have not allowed a sack. That doesn't mean they haven't allowed a ton of pressures, but they have not allowed a sack, which would be the first time since 2011 that a quarterback for the Cowboys have won in back-to-back games without being sacked. That comes from .com. I didn't do that research my damn self. That came from them. Can they make it 3 against this Colts defense? Which, again, is no slouch. Let me ask y'all that question. Can the Cowboys extend this sackless streak on the offensive side against the Indianapolis Colts? Yay or nay? Toxic this year is different. I mean, in a way it is. I know you one of the miserable types, but in a way there's things that are different about this team. That doesn't mean that it's going to end any differently, but there are some different things about this team. Do they extend this streak? I know it is crazy, Gregory. Yes, says Captain. Yes, says Nisi. Yes, says Gregory. Y'all confident. A lot of yeses. So we talked about it. Was it yesterday? We talked about their defense. Maybe it was 2 days ago. Can't quite remember. Yannick Ngakoue strikes a little bit of fear in me on that left side because we've seen Tyler Smith start to kind of, hit that rookie wall, if you want to call it that, whatever. Kayvon Thibodeau gave him a run for his money. And the same thing is going to happen with Yannick Ngakoue. Like, it's going to be a tough matchup over there. However, I'm going to get to X Factor number 1, if y'all don't mind. Because it's not really Thibodeau that worries me the most. Or not Thibodeau, I'm sorry. Yannick Ngakoue that worries me the most, which is crazy to say because he leads their team in sacks. It's DeForest Buckner. the Cowboys all year have dealt with some pretty damn good interior guys. In some games, they hold up. Some other games, they do not. And this guy right here is going to rank probably in the top 3 or 5 of all interior players you will face all season. We talked about DeForest Buckner the other day. And listen, they have to be looking at the tape saying we have a matchup advantage against whether it be Tyler Biadasz or against Connor McGovern. And you bet Gus Bradley, a veteran defensive coordinator, is going to be targeting that left side of the line. If you go back and watch the tape, another veteran defensive coordinator in Wink Martindale, he attacked which side of the line, Cowboys Nation? The left side of the line. Now, I don't know how much blitzing these guys do. I do know Gus can do some stunt things up front. I think they'll play some games with Buckner and Ngakoue on the same side. And this is the matchup that I would most be concerned about on the interior is Biadasz and McGovern versus Buckner. Notice I didn't say Zach Martin. Zach Martin is Zach Martin. I never worry about Zach Martin. But these other two is going to be interesting to see them battle against him. Because you don't want interior pressure against Dak. You don't want guys getting beat quickly when you're trying to run the ball. So I worry about Buckner against those two. How we feeling about this matchup, Cowboys Nation? How we feeling about this matchup? Adam believes as long as we continue to stay balanced on offense, we will keep them guessing on the line, and we should be able to keep the streak alive. Having Terrence in this game would be a plus. Yeah, let me say this right now. If Terrence is not there, I'd take the over on the sacks, man. A half sack for the Dallas Cowboys, over under. If Terrence ain't there, I'm taking the over. You know? Because now you got some slight question marks at both tackle positions. And I say that with all due respect to the way Tyler is playing. Like, he's playing above replacement level for a rookie tackle. Like, and it's for a rookie, if you really want to grade it on that scale, you'd be like, yeah, successful year. But, you know, he's still rookie, and he's going through his rookie growing pains. Buckner. So King thinks Buckner might slide over. We saw it with on Tyler Smith. We saw it with Leonard Williams. Teams tend to do that. Teams will slide their interior guy, move him out to kind of that 5 tech area. And we saw Leonard rush against Tyler Smith. We saw Leonard Williams win in pass rush. We also saw him win in the run game. So, yeah, I mean, that might happen as well, man. That might happen. It's a tough matchup, says Triple D. We should be good based on how we play against the Bama boys for the Commanders. Well, and that seems to be a bit of a contradict. You know, that's going against each other. They didn't play well against those boys, right? Those boys were dominant. Jonathan Allen had probably his best game of the season against the Cowboys in that game. But granted, that was McGovern's first game back, so I'm not going to give him too much crap on that. And then Payne also had a great game as well. The Dallas Cowboys had one of their worst rushing performances of the year against them. And then the pass rush was just getting the Cooper Rush. But he had a couple we got a chance to hit early in that game and kind of coasted the rest of the way. But I would say that would be the game that they struggled the most with. But if you wanted to talk about one specific guy that they did have success from a team standpoint, I would say the Rams. Right? Aaron Donald just crushed Tyler Smith in that game, but the Cowboys still ran for what, y'all, $150 or something like that? Yeah, miserable says Sky would kill to miserable. Bro, you just keep adding more miserable, toxic Tom Downey burner account. I thought you was a different person. I would kill to have an interior D lineman like Buckner. Same. Didn't Buckner come out the same year as Zeke? That top 4 wasn't something like I forget number 1, but it was Zeke was up there, Jalen was up there in that top 5. I want to say Buckner was. I already said Zeke. Bosa was the other dude, and I can't remember who the other one was. But yeah, that top 5 was crazy that year. They did move Donald, man. They did move Donald. Yeah, Ramsey, but who? Goff. There we go. Thank you, Flo. Goff went number 1. So it was Goff. Yeah, Bosa. Yeah, Ramsey, Zeke. Was Buckner up there in that draft? I think that was Buckner. I kind of get Buckner and Armstead mixed up. Anybody got a confirmation on that? Regardless, that was a fantastic hit rate in that top 10, specifically that top 5. Oh, Wentz. So Buckner might have went after the fact. Yeah. Well, yeah, man, he's a guy you got to worry about. I feel like if they block him up, because he can be a problem in both ways, right? The run game and the pass game. Ngakoue can't get busy in the run game, though. Like Tyler Smith, I got Tyler Smith hemming him up on a few occasions because he just plays that way. So I feel good about Tyler against Ngakoue in the run game, but in the pass game, a little bit concerned there. But Buckner can get you from both ends there. All right, let's get to number 2. Not the return of the Mac. The return of Jonathan Hankins. I meant to bring him up earlier in the season, earlier in the week, Cowboys Nation. Because while he wasn't missed last week, Cowboys played a very good game against Barkley. Cowboys got up on the Minnesota Vikings to the point where they took Cook out the game. Talk about the streak. There's another streak they have a chance to do. 3 straight games holding an opponent under 100 yards rushing total. They haven't done that since the first three weeks of last year. And if you want to be honest with last year, a lot of that had to do with the Cowboys scoring, making teams kind of have to throw the ball a bit. Although in week 2 against the Chargers, it wasn't a lot of scoring in that game. And then we talked about the other streak. The longest they've had was 5 in a row. We got a ways to go till the Cowboys get there. They got some good rushing teams coming up. But getting Jonathan Hankins back, I think, is huge against Jonathan Taylor and this Colts rush defense or rush offense. I was studying them. Anybody else go back and watch the Colts? They're very basic, man. They are very basic in how they run. And I've said this for weeks. Y'all know this. If you want to just line up 12 personnel, shotgun, run up the A gap, B gap, nothing creative. Oh, I welcome that. The Cowboys welcome that. LVE welcomes that. Jonathan Barr welcomes that. Jonathan Hankins welcomes that. Anthony Barr welcomes that. Because you're not making these guys have to guess. You're allowing these guys to see it, hit it, and go. And they did nothing creative. Maybe that's a Jeff Saturday thing. I don't even know who their offensive coordinator is. But getting Big Hank back, I think he's going to absolutely own the middle of that line. Now, I know Kelly is back at center. They got that mouse in the house, Will Fries on the right guard. And I know Quentin Nelson, right? Quentin Nelson's a beast. But Quentin Nelson ain't been that beast this year. So I think the Cowboys can control the line of scrimmage if they're not going to do anything creative from an east-west standpoint, anything creative from an eye candy standpoint. They don't even do post-action stuff, y'all. It truly is. I'll be frustrated if I was a Colts fan looking at that offense with Jonathan Taylor. So I think Jonathan Hankins being back is huge factor, man. And we talked about this yesterday. I think there's another mouse in the house, and Raymond on the other side at left tackle. He's starting to show some struggles a little bit here. He's given up roughly around like eight pressures over the last 2 games and a couple sacks. Will Fries, we talked about him being the mouse in the house. If he's going to be the starter, he's given up 10 pressures, 3 sacks, and 4 penalties in the last 3 games. So he's a guy there. We know Quentin Nelson is Quentin Nelson. I forget what the right tackle is, but he's been playing solid as well. But it's an offensive line that doesn't strike fear in my heart, especially when you look at their success this year. They've been, whether you want to say because of the injuries or whatever, they've been an offensive line that has given up the 3rd most sacks in the NFL. This ain't the same offensive line of yesteryear for the Colts. It's not. And now you have a statue back there at quarterback. Yeah, good luck. Good luck. Lemitra says, hopefully DQ serves them blitzes. So what? Hopefully DQ serve them blitzards all game long. Oh, okay, blizzards. Yeah, we might not even need to do it. Right? Like, you might not even need to blitz them that much. Because you got a ferocious pass rush. But we'll see. Oh, look at that. We've got a caller. Looks like we got Los on the horn here, the Pulse of the Nation hotline. And we're going to bring in B later on the show to talk about the Cochran firm and the Dallas Cowboys. But let's see if we can get Los up in here. Los, you got me here, man?
Yo, good morning, Scott, man. I hope you're having a good Friday, almost game day. I know you're ready for it.
Yes, sir.
Hey, just my 2 quick points, man. I mean, hey, these Colts, this should be a matchup, easy matchup for the Cowboys because, one, this defense can create pressure to the quarterback. And Ryan, he has those legs of a turtle, man. He cannot go outside the pocket once that play is, getting blitz out from the edges. So I feel like if Cowboys can take advantage of Matt Ryan and this non-existent passing game, it should be easier to hold Jonathan Taylor in check in the running game. And my last point is just score. I mean, if Dak can continue to just move the ball, convert third downs, get first downs, and just score at least just points, it's always an advantage to us because, that helps the defense.
Right.
And we just play our game. So I feel like if Dak can keep improving to where we want to be, and like I said, those interceptions that he has thrown over the middle, one of these days, sooner or later, he will connect on it. But if three cornerbacks are right there, don't throw that ball. But I expect Dak to be Dak. He's a top quarterback in this NFL game, and I expect him to show out. And that's all I got to say, Sky.
Indeed, man. I just hope he doesn't. I just hope he doesn't throw into the middle of the field to Lamb. I don't care anywhere else, but the middle of the field, those deep posts, deep overs, unders, whatever you want to call it, digs. I'm cool if he just completely avoids that part of the field in general with CeeDee Lamb, because nothing good has come out of it. Nothing good has come out of that except for like 1 or 2 receptions the entire season. So I'll just pass that and get rid of it, man. I'll just get rid of that. Let's get to, I think this is Mr. Ronnie. Mr. Ronnie, this you?
Good morning. God bless you in the show and your family, like always. Okay, I really think that our defense against their offense should be able to dominate because their quarterback, he don't move. I mean, he's very stationary. So I think that our defense should be able to do good. And if, like I was trying to say yesterday in the show, on the Rod show, as long as Kellen Moore don't do nothing crazy, just stick to the normal game plan, run the ball, don't try to get cute with those reverses. And like you said, don't throw those patterns that they know they're not working. Just stick to the game plan, and we should be good. God bless you and the family, like always, as well, and have a good weekend, okay?
You as well, man. Have a good, safe weekend. Appreciate you, Mr. Ronnie.
Thank you.
Keep it simple, stupid. I saw in the chat somebody said, they think this Colts team will be the team that runs the most from the Cowboys. I don't think they're going to run more than the Packers did against them, but that may be true. That would be going against what they've done all year, right? And it will be up to the Cowboys. I think it'll be up to the Dallas Cowboys offense to determine how much the Colts defense or Colts offense will run the ball. You would think naturally that the Colts would run the ball more than they pass the ball, just naturally. But that's not the case at all. The Colts average the 8th most pass attempts, or have the 8th most pass attempts in the National Football League. Now, you can say that's because they've been playing from behind. Well, I expect them to play from behind in this game. It all depends how fast the Cowboys get out to a fast start or not, or how often their offense is putting the pressure on the Colts offense. Because at the end of the day, if Dallas goes up 13-0, 17-0, 17-3, them boys ain't going to run the ball like that. They're going to have to throw the ball. And that's when you can pin your ears back and Micah Parsons can go eat. But yeah, continue to run that ball. Also, when I get to this third one here and I see it's all coming together, we got a super chat. Ronnie talked about Kellen. My guy Marcus just dropped a super chat and said, I treat Kellen like AB. Every game they have one bonehead play or play call, then they settle down and balance out. Hashtag Sky from Dubai. Salute. I treat him like AB. I guess that's an interesting comparison. I don't think not one we like. I don't think we want Kellen to be AB. He's a little bit more important, so I would hope he's more Diggs or something like that. But interesting comparison nonetheless. Appreciate you for the donation. No sir, not invited to the cookout. He came to the table. Remember when we had the little table and he wanted to bring his potato salad? He had a little seasoning on it, nothing crazy. But yeah, he's not invited to the cookout, man. Not yet. Kellen got more things he has to improve on. One thing I would like to see him continue to do, though, is our third and final X factor. Keep using that tight end mafia. The Colts defense has been susceptible to the tight ends this year. Now, they haven't given up huge games, but there's been some success. And I'm starting to get the confidence here to say that the Cowboys tight end group, week in and week out, maybe not from an individual standpoint, but from a collective standpoint, is going to be one of the more challenging ones to deal with for teams because they're not used to seeing teams deploy their tight ends the way the Cowboys do. Now, eventually, you get enough film and teams will try to adjust to that, but we'll see when it happens, right? Coming out in those 2 or 3, hell, sometimes 4 tight end sets, you can do so many things out of it. And we remember Kellen Moore talked about exactly what you can do. Let's kind of remind you guys what he said there.
At what point did you start realizing you wanted to emphasize tight ends more in your offense? Was that something that when Amari and Cedric weren't coming back in the offseason, you saw after the draft? And how has it evolved? How has your philosophy on it evolved from the beginning of the season to now?
Well, certainly if you go back last year, when Blake was a part of this thing, Blake and Dalton working together, those two did a tremendous job early last year. And Blake had the unfortunate, he was just banged up a lot. And so, naturally with our personnel, we played a little bit more 11 personnel. Certainly something we would have loved to do going into last year and even this year, more 12 and multiple personnel groups. And so certainly as this season's gone on, Jake, Peyton, Sean, we know what Dalton is. But for those guys to progress the way they have certainly gives us a lot of confidence to play in those different personnel groups.
How do you think it stresses defenses differently than if you were to have receivers or running backs for those guys?
Obviously, it's bigger bodies. Those guys do a really good job in the run game. Jake's, just physical at the point of attack. Peyton's found this awesome role of being this guy who can kind of move around and do a number of things. Sean has done a little bit of backfield work and can play a versatile role. And so they give us a lot of diversity on our offense and allow us to do multiple things. And, 13 personnel, it's not something that's maybe as common in the NFL, so it gives a little bit of an uncommon look to some teams depending on what their schedule's presented so far this year.
Yeah. You can get a lot of matchup advantages if you utilize them the correct way, and I think Kellen and Mike and Dak have been using – and shout out to Lunda Wells. We gave him some credit some weeks ago. I did on Twitter at the very least. Lunda is helping develop these guys. And I saw a couple different comments in the chat here. Pretty soon, Triple D said, they'll start hitting those deep seams. I would love to replace these deep seam routes. I know it sounds crazy. With Lamb, with Ferguson, I'm cool with. Hendershot. Hell, even Schultz, has been, he's been hitting Schultz on some of these deep seams as well throughout his career. I would love to, because now it gives you different options, and maybe teams won't be so eager to shade towards my CD Lamb on the interior, right? CD Lamb on the inside in the slot. So I would love for them to continue to use these tight ends and hopefully down the field. So that's a good comment right there. And then the G4 said, Sky, I think using Turpin could really unleash our offense, especially down the field. I think his speed alone will scare opponents. I'm just saying. I talk about Infinity Stones. Turpin might be an extra one because he's not a necessity to complete, all the Infinity Stones, but he can be an extra power to this offense that they haven't really unlocked. I would love to use Kevontae Turpin a little bit more, But they found something, and I think they need to stick with this until they figure out different aspects of their passing offense. We talk about this a lot. The 11 personnel is just not their strength right now, I think, because of the personnel, and they don't have the concepts that get these guys open in that way. Maybe that changes next week. We'll see. But for at this moment, you got to stick where your bread is buttered. I'm not saying you run 12 and 13 95% of the time, but about the same rate you've done it. I'd argue, though, in this game, they should come out in that more than they did last game. Last game was kind of more this, it felt like free-for-all situation. And like I said, Brian Broaddus talked about this. He said that they didn't practice much, so they kind of were relying on just getting a feel at the beginning of that game, and you could tell there really wasn't a rhyme or reason or purpose. I think you're going to need a rhyme, reason, or purpose in this game against this defense. Gus Bradley's a good coordinator. This is a good front seven. And while they are without Kenny Moore, who hasn't had a great year anyway, but he's still a talented guy, I would not feel the need to get out of what we do. Do not come out and say, ooh, Kenny Moore is not there. Ooh, there's an older Gallimore. Is it Gallimore? Gilmore, sorry. There's an older Gilmore. Rodgers, don't come out here thinking I just want to throw the ball over a lot. Do what works for you. Make them adjust to you, and then you adjust. That's what makes a great coordinator, in my opinion, man. Makes a great coordinator. Good stuff today from the chat. We are live here at the Cochran Firm. Here in a second, we're going to get Brian involved. He's going to sit next to us here, have a chat about these here Cowboys. But before we do that, let's take one quick break. Now y'all going probably kill me on this one, because when I do my remote shows, there's things that need to be cleaned up. So let me just take a look here. Let me see what we got going. Oh, snap. All right. We got welcome back, my old school doppelganger. Fan focus on your health. In the U.S., more than 39 million men suffer from ED. Boston Scientific created edcure.org to help you find your best cure. To get started, go to edcure.org, take the quiz, learn your severity or risk of ED. And if you have a condition that puts you at higher risk, you'll find customized content. Fastest way to find your best cure is to contact an ED specialist by browsing a list of experienced physicians in your area. Visit edcure.org, brought to you by Boston Scientific. I don't know how I feel about this, y'all. I don't like this. We had a streak going here. What if we win now? And they got to bring him back? Appreciate you, Boston Scientific. Hey, B, come on through, man. Let's chit-chat. Come on through. I don't feel too good about that, Cowboys Nation. Sky from Dubai is really what we needed, but it is what it is. See y'all, Sky. Let's get you set up here, man. Oh, this side is good. This side is good. About to welcome in the one, the only, Mr. Brian of the Cochran Firm. Slide on up in here, man. Slide on up in here. Let's see. Let's turn this up here. You good?
I'm good.
You got me loud and clear?
I can hear you.
How you doing, man?
I'm good.
I see you got the Amari jersey on.
You know, I didn't buy a Cowboys jersey for so long, and finally I succumbed. I had a buddy from Philly who came in town, one of my pod guys, big Eagles fan, and he always wears jerseys. He's got probably 12, 13 jerseys. So I finally broke down and bought a Amari Cooper jersey because he was my favorite Cowboy, because I'm a huge Alabama fan growing up in Alabama. And that's the only jersey I have, so I got to wear it.
Yeah, you got to show your Cowboys love, man.
Absolutely.
But before we get into the content, though, I often say on the show, man, at the Cochran Firm, you guys, fight for your clients, kind of like the Cowboys are doing right now, trying to fight for the division. You want to tell them a little bit more about the Cochran Firm, though?
Yeah, Will. So, the Cochran Firm, here in Texas started back in 2004, just before our founder Johnny Cochran passed. And my partner Larry Taylor and I have been using the Cochran firm since then to carry on the legacy. And the legacy of Johnny is he was a fighter, and that's what we do on a daily basis, man. We come up here and we pour our blood, sweat, and tears into helping people put their lives back together, whether it be injured in an auto accident or a big truck accident or motorcycle accident or drunk driving accident or workplace injury or anything like that, or even if you get your civil rights violated by some kind of rogue police or something like that. That's what we do, is we try to help people and fight for them at the courthouse. We believe in everybody's right to a trial by jury, and we believe in giving back to the community, and that's why we love being a sponsor of the A to Z Sports morning show.
Told y'all, man, real thorough people. In the middle of that, you were talking about putting pieces back together, and that's something the Cowboys had to do once Dak went out. Last time I was here, we were in the middle of the
That's right. We were in the
Cooper Rush era.
The Cooper Gold Rush.
I call it the Super Cooper Trooper era, because he had some Super Cooper Trooper truthers out there in Cowboys land. But Dak's come back. This offense is starting to hum. The defense is what it is. Where's your confidence level at with this Cowboys team now? Because it's like 3 different seasons, right? You had the preseason in week 1, you got the Cooper Rush season, now you got the post-injury Dak season. Where your confidence level at?
I'm not only am I manufacturing the Kool-Aid and stirring the Kool-Aid, but I'm drinking that stuff too. Okay. I think I said when you were here last time that the Cowboys will go as far as Dak will take them, right? Because Cooper Rush is not a quarterback that's going to take us to the promised land. He drove the bus, which was great. But Dak, as you can see, he's inconsistent. But when Dak is Dak,
when he's on,
he is an elite quarterback, and that's what it takes to get, to make a run in January. I like the fact that we have our next 3 opponents, the Colts, Texans, and Jags, to can't look past them.
No, not in today's game.
Maybe a trap game in Jacksonville, because Trevor Lawrence is playing well, and they finally might put something together. But I feel good that we run the table, and we have the Eagles Christmas Eve. And it's possible the Eagles are showing a little bit of wear. They're not as much of a machine as they were earlier. I almost lost to these Colts.
I was about to say, they should have lost to these Colts.
Should have lost to these Colts, which makes me a little bit concerned about Sunday night. Don't need to look past the Colts. No. But Eagles can trip up. They got the Titans this week. You never know. That game, Christmas Eve, could be for all the marbles and the number 1 seed in the NFC, and you know how important that is.
Yes, I do. What I like about this year as opposed to last year with this team is that, much like y'all, they have to actually fight every week. Think about this for a second. Something I was thinking about on the way in here. Maybe I'll talk about this on Sunday, maybe next week. When the Cowboys have been in the playoffs, for the most part, either in the Dak Prescott era or the Tony Romo era, maybe outside of 1 year, they've low-key kind of coasted into the playoffs. They had the division locked up for the most part towards the end of the season, or at least since 2016. Yeah, 2016, 2018, and last year, there really wasn't a whole lot of competition within the division to fight for it.
They were on cruise control last year.
They were on cruise control. Now they have no choice. And I think Dak spoke to it yesterday. Like we have to go out here and win these games. We can't be looking ahead like we do as fans. We can do that. We're fans.
Right.
But these boys have to go out here and fight and claw their way into the playoffs. And I think the setup of the schedule is perfect. You get these 3, you want to call them easy games. Week to week is how I live by. But you get kind of a softer schedule, and then you get tough teams. Philly, as much as we hate them, tough. Tennessee, you put the word physical and tough, and right next to it, the Titans and Mike Vrabel should be right there. And then you get the Commanders at the end of the year. The Commanders, Larry, at the end of the year, you get those boys who are playing some tough ball right now.
They are.
For Rivera, yeah.
And you mentioned it earlier. You got to worry about the Bama boys.
Yeah, they gave us trouble last time.
Tough defense.
Yeah. So I like how it's set up.
It is set up. but there is no margin of error, right? We lost that with the Packers game.
Yep.
Right, and so you have to fight for every game, and if you don't, you run the risk of being a lower wild card, and being on the road. You're going to be on the road.
You're going to be on the road
unless
Philly slips up.
Catch Philly, right? Yeah. You're going to be on the road. It's hard. You got to win 3 games on the road to get to the Super Bowl. Not easy.
No.
But this team, and one thing I wanted to talk to you about is, what do you think about OBJ?
Yeah, that's so funny. You segued to me. I was going to segue it to you. See, he really shouldn't be a lawyer. He should be a co-host for Cowboys Talk.
If that day job doesn't work out, I'm coming.
Man, OBJ to me is a luxury because I think this team has a formula. When I say a luxury, I mean a luxury that the Cowboys could use, not a luxury that you say, hey, whenever we feel like it, right? I don't say that as a slight to his skill, because a healthy Odell Beckham, it will be an amazing addition to any team. But clearly, this team is 8-3. They have an identity to win, right? They know how to win. They just have to stick with that identity consistently. But I think Odell Beckham will help open up a different aspect of the team that they don't currently have right now. I think they're somewhere in the 20s or lower in explosive plays from a passing game standpoint. And I think they've replaced that explosiveness with more efficient splash plays with those tight ends. So would love to have them, but if they don't, I am not going to shed any type of tear at all.
Well, and do we have an insurance policy with James Washington? I mean, he's coming in. He's in his 21-day practice window now. He's starting to practice, and we signed him as a deep threat. If you don't sign OBJ, by the Eagles game, maybe he's a new deep threat.
McCarthy spoke on this maybe this morning or yesterday. He spoke glowingly of James, a little bit shocking. I don't know if he'll play this week. When I say shocking, I mean I thought that James Washington would take a couple weeks. The way he spoke about James Washington yesterday sounds like he could play next week. So, and guess who's coming in to visit next week?
Texans.
Beckham. No.
Oh, yeah,
Odell Beckham.
Right.
He'll be here Monday.
On the 5th, yep.
So I don't see them calling up James Washington this week, because what they can do is if they sign Odell Beckham, they can say, hey, James, we're going to waive you injured, what have you, right? You get your injury settlement. Now you can go play for a different team. I think that's how it works. Correct me if I'm wrong. But I think they're going to wait until this Beckham thing figures itself out. And if it doesn't, then, yeah, James Washington is your free agent addition. Just don't know what you're going to get from him, man.
He's not a bad insurance policy.
No.
Right?
He's not. And I was more excited for the potential of James Washington in July than I am now in December, because he doesn't know the playbook. Well, he hasn't used the playbook on the field. Got 2 practices with this team. Was injured twice before he even played. So it's kind of like whatever you get from James Washington is icing on top, right?
That's right.
Yeah, you're not going to. So we'll take it. But would you take Odell Beckham?
I would. And some people are like, well, could he mess up the chemistry in the locker room? But I think I think he's a veteran. I think he brings leadership, and the fact that Dak and Micah and those guys are in the loop and trying to get him to come, to me indicates they think that he could be a difference maker and would be good for the team. So I'm all aboard if we can get him.
The biggest difference maker on this team outside the quarterback is a guy you name, and the guy I think should be your next jersey, Micah Parsons.
I'm on my way to the store right now.
There you go, man. Micah Parsons should be your next jersey. What do you think about Micah this year and just in general from a league standpoint, not just Cowboys? I think Micah's starting to turn into being like part of the face of the league the way that Aaron Donald was defensively.
He is a beast. And, his second year, he hasn't stepped back at all. Right?
Increased.
He's taken it to the next level. Yeah. And there isn't really any other defensive player right now that is much of a disruptor that Micah is. I mean,
where my button at? I don't think I got it. I do.
Whatever he's on the field, wherever they put him, whether he's edge rushing or spying or what, he is a disruptor, and they have to account for him, and that causes concern on the offensive standpoint.
You're not the leading sacking team without Mike. I mean, obviously he has 13 sacks, but he's kind of a defensive point guard, if that makes sense. Meaning,
sure,
he's actually creating sacks for other people. You know, teams got to dedicate the slide to protection or an extra tight end or a linebacker. Now you're getting Dorrance Armstrong, D-Law one-on-one. And now the fact that Damone Clark and Anthony Barr are starting to, allow Micah to play more pass rush. This team, I don't think it's going to slow down. And now they get Matt Ryan this week, who don't move. I call him one of the few statues left in the NFL. What you think the Cowboys defense can do this
Matty
week?
Ice is in trouble on Sunday.
Yes, he is, man. Yes, he
Matty
is.
put him on ice.
Yeah, Matty going to need some ice. Icy hot is what he's going to need. Yeah?
Yeah, so I have to give a shout out. I do a sports podcast with 4 buddies around the country. They're in Philly, in D.C., and in New York, and Tampa.
That's NFC East round.
Right? Yeah, and then Tampa, Johnny come lately. It's a Sunday morning quarterbacks. And we every week we ask, who is potentially take them out to the pasture from a quarterback standpoint. Aaron Rodgers has been on the precipice of that all year. But Matty Ice, every week, when he comes back and he does something we're unexpected, we're like, where did that come from? Because we've had him on ice for a while.
Matty Ice, I don't know if you watch Walking Dead, but you said put him out the pasture. I say look at the flowers. It's time to go look at the flowers. They need to draft a quarterback because these boys been trying to do the whole old man thing for the last few years, or Carson Wentz thing for the last few years since Andrew Luck been out. And now Matty Ice is up next, and this might be it for him. He didn't have a great game last week.
No.
The Cowboys, they made him look terrible last year. I went back and looked at his numbers. He was 9 for like 22, 117 yards, 2 interceptions, and a fumble. If he has that type of performance, he's probably going to be sat down. And I was watching that game last week against the Steelers like, please don't bench him. Let him play next week. I don't know nothing about Sam Ehlinger, but please let Matty Ice play because he can't move.
I'm not worried about Ehlinger, but yeah.
Yeah, but if you can't move against this team,
right,
you're in trouble, man.
Right, yeah. No, it's going to be a field day for our defensive rush, I believe.
He just got to stop Jonathan Taylor.
What you said the over/under on sacks on Sunday for the Cowboys was a half sack.
No. That was for the Cowboys offense.
Right.
Yeah.
What do you think? What's the over/under for us sacking them?
I would say they got to Kirk Cousins 7 times. All right, think about that for a second. Right, 7 times with that offense, way better offense, and they got to Daniel Jones. I think 2 or 3 times. Cowboys Nation. I can't quite remember. I would set it at 4.5 because they average about 4 sacks a game. I think it is.
That's pretty high. I think I'll take the over.
Take the over. So look, if you get the Kirk Cousins 7 times, I'm not saying we're gonna get 10, but yeah, I got the over too. I think they can get at least 5. 5 sacks seems like the floor, right? What y'all got? Over under? I ain't gonna say over under. How many sacks will the Cowboys defense get on Matty, my feet in ice because I can't move? How many sacks? Y'all let us know. We'll read some of these comments here. What you think though?
I'm going 6. I'm taking
6?
the over.
All right. I know somebody in the chat said that Micah might get 3. If you ever notice, I don't know if you do in-game betting, but Micah Parsons, anytime he gets 1 sack, another one's coming. Now, we ain't allowed to do it here in Texas, but if I could, every time he gets a sack, I would bet that Micah's going to get another sack. He got 6 games this year with multiple.
Hit that FanDuel, right?
I don't think it works. I don't know how it works down there. Texas is different. I'm still getting acclimated here. I'm not much of a sports gambler, though. But if I did, I would definitely bet on Micah Parsons getting 2 sacks on Sunday.
No doubt.
All right, before I let you go, Brian, get a score prediction.
All right. Cowboys have been playing to the level of their competition too much. I call it playing with their food. Just, kind of kicking them around. I have the Cowboys I'm going to give them 38, Colts 13. Feeling good
score.
Friday.
I like that score, 38. Yeah, they can't be playing with their food, man. They did that last week.
Right.
2 weeks. I want them to have the mindset they had off that Green Bay loss when they came out and whooped on Minnesota, right?
Yes.
I want that mindset.
I want to see second half Dak against the Giants for the full game on Sunday.
I want to see Minnesota.
Yeah.
That whole Minnesota game from start to finish, they dominated that team, and I think they should be able to. Now, I will say this, and I don't give my score predictions until Sunday with Jesse on Game Day Live. Make sure you check that out. This is a better defense
than Minnesota.
Than any team they've played since the Cowboys, since Dak Prescott has been back.
Okay.
It's a better defense. So I don't know how high the score will be. I mean, this may be closer to the Giants score-wise than the Minnesota 40 points. So I will take that into consideration. Gus Bradley's a real legitimate defensive coordinator. There's legitimate players over there. I don't think it's going to be as easy to go up and down the field as it was against Minnesota's defense, which is not that great. So I will take that into consideration. I think it'll be a bit tighter than that. But I think the Cowboys get the dub, though.
I'm a little bullish. What can I say?
I ain't mad at you. Cowboys is on the roll. Think about it. Since week 1, they only lost 2 games.
Yeah. And the Green Bay game, first time in 195 games that they give up a 14-point lead going into the fourth quarter. So
never happened before, it seemed
Right.
like. And then,
Right.
yeah, so it could easily be 9-2 right now.
that's right.
All right, man. Before we let Mr. Brian go here, let them know where they can actually find you guys. They come down here physically, and then they can call in.
Sure.
Website.
So our new offices are in the Design District in Dallas at 1825
That's what it's called.
Market Center Boulevard, which is right near the Virgin Hotel. And we can be reached at 1-800-THE-FIRM, 24/7. And you can find us on the internets at Cochran, Texas. That's the word, CochranTexas.com.
Indeed, man.
And we're here to help you guys get through your tough times. Hopefully not tough times ahead for the Cowboys, but love having you guys out here, Will. Love being a sponsor and part of the team.
I love that you guys and we are a part of each other's growth here in Dallas. At least me being here new and linking up with you guys has been great. And I already know if I get in anything, I'm hitting y'all up. I say it all the damn time.
I always tell people, I don't want to necessarily see you, but if you have a friend, a family, a loved one, or somebody you know, send them our way. We'll take care of them.
Heard what you said, man. Appreciate you, B.
All right. Cochran Cares, buddy.
Cochran Cares. I like that. I got to write that down. I can be part of when I'm talking about you. Cochran Cares, okay? They care about you. We got a caller. We'll get to that caller, and then we're going to wrap up the show. We'll review our top 3, our only 3, really, X Factors. So let's go jump right into it. The Pulse of the Nation call-in line. We got Mr. 647 or Mrs. Not sure who you are. 646. What it is, what it do? Uh-oh. Check. You good. Yep.
Yeah, hello?
Yep. What's good, man?
Yeah.
You are live.
Yeah, what's up? What's up, guys? Yeah, I just have one thing I want to say. I don't think the Cowboys offense should sleep on this Colts defense because if I'm not mistaken, I think Kwity Paye is returning back. So, their defensive line with Kwity Paye, Ndakwe, and Buckner could give us some problems if we're not careful. So I just want everybody to be on their P's and Q's, especially with Terrence Steele being, possibly sick and, Tyler Smith kind of hitting the rookie wall. I just want us Cowboys, to be alert that this Colts defensive line is really good, especially with Kwity Paye coming back. So that's all I got to say, man.
No, you're absolutely right. We focused on that yesterday with the Texans. With the Colts defense, right? Buckner is a problem. Buckner is a problem like Armstead was a problem for the Cowboys last year. And from a pass rushing standpoint, Ngakoue can be a problem, but he's not good against the run. So, you can run at him and you can run at Paye. But yeah, if you want to play with your food and you want to throw the ball all around the park, you're just giving them opportunities to tee off. But I think you can stay on track if you run against them. It won't be easy, because they only give up less than 4 yards per carry, but the Steelers had a lot of success on the ground last week.
That's true. All right. Yeah, man, I just wanted to let Cowboys fans know, I'm looking at the injury report, and, with Terrence Steele being out and then they get Kwity Paye back, I didn't like seeing that. So.
All right, man. That's a great call. Appreciate you.
No doubt, bro.
Yes, sir. All right, let's go over these 3 X Factors real quick. Head on up out of here. Mute that part right there. Boom. X Factor number 1, interior O-line versus Buckner. This is going to be, I think, the matchup of the evening for the Cowboys offense. If they lock him up from the inside, I think they can have a solid game on the ground. Now they do got some tight ends. They do got some linebackers that move around, but we'll get to that one in a second. X factor number 2, Jonathan Hankins return versus the Colts interior O-line. I think they're going to have problems dealing with this Cowboys defensive line in general, especially on the interior. We said it, mouse in the house, Will Fries, attack him. Jonathan Hankins can play. If you're not going to do anything east-west, Jonathan Hankins can play that peek and shed game all day with you because you ain't moving him, right? Like, it's going to take 2 or 3 guys, and sometimes 2 guys he don't even move. So it's going to take 3 guys maybe to move him out the way. So I think this defensive line is going to be an absolute problem for this Colts offensive line that gives up the 3rd most sacks, and they have a statue at quarterback. And then the tight end mafia. Keep this tight end mafia project or whatever you want to call it going, man. These boys can be a problem for just about any team because teams don't see this type of situation week in, week out. And all due respect to the E.J. Speeds of the world for the Colts, they don't have their all-pro Shaquille Leonard. And these guys are holding it down pretty well. And again, like I said, they're the Colts defense. They're not bad against the run, but there's been some success over the year from the tight end standpoint. I think you do have the advantage right there, especially when you use them off of some action. So I got the tight ends and Jonathan Hankins as being a huge advantage against this Colts team. And then the advantage goes to the Colts, though, when it comes to their defensive line against our interior. So that's the one. I mean, you put a star, an asterisk right there against the Colts interior when it comes to Buckner. If you get that, if you figure that out, I think you'll be fine in this game offensively from a progression standpoint. Meaning they'll just keep moving, keep it rolling, keep a rhythm. But that's the one guy I think that can take you out of rhythm. Oh, we got to get one more. We got B Bird. I can't go without B Bird talking. B Bird, what's good?
What's up, Scott? Long time no hear from you.
Yeah, long time, man. How you doing, man? On this Friday.
I've been doing good. I've been working, man, but I got an off day, so I've listened to you, and you made a point, and I was gonna call you and just kind of talk about it a little bit.
All right.
You said something that I've been kind of echoing throughout the year, and I think this season is setting up really well for us. With the injury of Dak, I think we kind of found our identity.
Yeah.
As long as we don't get away from that, we're running the ball well, and throwing off the run, establishing ourselves, and we're committed to the run. If we continue to do that, that'll be well. The reason why I say that is because a good run game travels everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
A pass game could be shut down in cold weather or other things could happen, rain or whatever, but a good running game travels well. And so what we've done before, man, and you spoke on it, in 2016 we coasted to the playoffs. Last year we coasted to the playoffs. But I'll give you the comparison or the contrast. Last year, San Francisco had to fight for everything because their division was so tough. I mean, they had Arizona, they had the world champion Rams, and they had themselves. And so the team that didn't make it was Seattle, and in that division, Seattle will beat you too. So every week they had to play for something, man. And so they came and played us in the playoffs, and they were already in playoff mode, whereas we kind of coasted to the playoffs, and we had to kind of get geared back up. And you saw what happened in that. Yep. And I think if you look at this year, we're in that mode now where we have to chase Philadelphia. So the Jacksonville game is terribly important to us. The Indianapolis game is terrible. The Houston Texan game is terribly important. We have to fight our way through this, and that's going to – 2 things that's going to bode well. We're in playoff mode right now. We're going to be in playoff mode to the season end, wherever it is. And the running game, man, we have to do that because the running game elicits toughness, right? That's what you're tough at. When you can run, when other teams know you're going to run, you impose your will on other teams. What I'm trying to say is we kind of mirror and we have the talent to mirror what San Francisco did last year. They were just a really tough running team, and that's what we are now. That's where we were with Cooper Rush. Hopefully with Dak coming back, we don't get too far away from that identity. But I think what the thing is that's different than last year and gives me hope is that we have to fight for everything that we're going to get. We have to fight just to remain. We don't even have the wild card set up right. You know what I'm saying? And so we're going to have to fight our way through this whole thing. And the thing about it, I think if we continue to lean on the run game, we're going to be a much tougher mentally and physically team when we get to the playoffs. So we'll be more ready to go on the road to a cold atmosphere or to a Tampa or to a place like that because toughness carries, man.
Yep. And he brought up San Fran. You don't even question who they are. You know that's a tough physical team With Dallas, I think we're still trying to figure that out. And I'm hoping by the end of the year, we can, with confidence, say this is who we are. Until then, I'm kind of still on wait and see approach because week to week, we're really not sure. We're not confident what they're going to be from a physical or tough standpoint. But I think we're turning in the right direction.
Yeah, and I think what it is that, Kellen is growing in that offensive coordinator's position. But I think, man, really what's going to carry us is just old-fashioned running the ball, letting Tyler Smith do what he does best, maul people. Hey, let's not just get too pass happy with this thing and not be like, oh, we got Dak back, we can throw the ball 40 times. We have a formula that worked with Cooper Rush, and it could be on steroids with Dak Prescott. So we just don't need to get away from that, man. Let's just beat people upside the head.
We don't have to use Cooper Rush anymore. Like, Dak Prescott's played 5 games, and in 4 of the 5 games, the Cowboys have followed that formula. We have the formula with Dak Prescott, right? Like, we went out of it in that Green Bay game, but I guess you could argue we went out of it in the Eagles game with Cooper Rush. Like, 4 of the 5 games, I don't think Dak has thrown the ball more than 30 times. I can go back and look, but it's just that one outlier. Just stick to it. That's the one thing that gives me a little bit of hope is that we've got 11 games, and 9 of the 11 games, or maybe 10 or 8 of the 11 games, they followed that formula. So that gives me a little bit of hope. But like most things in Dallas, it's a wait and see approach, right? We've been given tons of hope before for them to kind of flip the script on us. You know what I mean?
Hey, man, look, thanks for letting me jump in on, man. I just wanted to give those thoughts, man, and you have a great weekend, brother, and I'll talk to you later.
You as well, good brother. Appreciate the call as always, and as always, it was a fantastic one. Enjoy your weekend, man. Good stuff from our guy, B Bird. Yeah, I think we've rediscovered, if we want to call it that, what to do with Dak back in there. I talk about hitting that reset button. You had the reset button to begin the season. All right, preseason's over. Let's roll. You got Dak Prescott. Boom, he gets hurt. Now we got to hit that reset button with Cooper Rush. All right, we figured it out here. Now Dak comes back. You can do way more things, so that's a true reset button because now we got to figure out how to make sure we stay in the confines of what works and not try to do all this extra stuff. And I think they found that, man. 4 to 5 weeks, the Cowboys have run the ball more than they've passed the ball, or at least it's been balanced. We'll just use that. And the one week that they got funny with it, ironically, was the week that your defense let up a 28-14 lead. Let's just be honest. If you don't give up the 28-14 lead, obviously those numbers look different. But 4th and 7, the rest is history. Maybe they did need that. I know it was somebody that called it. Maybe it was Nacho that called in the other week and was like, Trayvon Diggs said something along the lines of, this was for us, this loss was for us. There's some weird stuff like that, but I think what he was trying to say was, we needed to get smacked a little bit here to kind of recalibrate and get focus. I don't want them to lose that focus in this next 3-game stretch. Texans, Jags, Titans. Texans, Colts, Titans, I'm sorry. No. Colts, Texans, Jags. That 3-game stretch. I don't want them to lose focus against subpar teams, play down to competition. We don't want that. We don't want that. Bury these dudes. On the way out, guys, good stuff today. I got to get going. Got to go pick up somebody. Hit that like button, please. Do me a favor and do that. Hit that subscribe button if you're new around here. You want to figure out how to comment. You can't comment. It's because you got to be a subscriber. If you don't like it, that's cool. I'm only telling you to do these things if you like it. I'm not one of those that say, hey, hit the like button all the time. Nah, you don't got to do that. Sunday, I will be live at Texas Live. Make sure y'all come through. We'll be at the barbecue joint, Lockhart's. Had a lot of fun down there on Sunday. Make sure y'all come back and kick it with us. It gets packed in there. I didn't realize how packed it gets at the barbecue spot. Texas Live in general is jumping, but that barbecue spot was, it was a lot of action. So make sure y'all come through, and let's get this dub on Sunday, man. Let's have a good weekend, a safe weekend. We appreciate the Cochran firm for allowing us to once again come through in their studio and do a live show. All right, and make sure y'all support my guy Vossman Bar. We had a freaking fantastic show yesterday. We had a classic one. You're not allowed to miss them. Make sure y'all go check that out. And before I get out of here, just in case we have some super chats, let me go check those out. because it is Friday. Won't be back tomorrow to read them. Y'all know me, I be going so hard on these shows. Okay. Yeah, we good. We good. I think I missed my guy Marcus Hardison. Appreciate you. He talked about our tight ends being the fabulous Freebirds. I said the tight ends, the tight end mafia. He called them the fabulous Freebirds. I'm going to be honest with you, Marcus. I know about the fabulous Freebirds. I'm pretty sure if I told them they like the fabulous Freebirds and they looked them up, they'd have a problem with that. Let's go with a bit more tougher group there than the fabulous Freebirds, Marcus. Let's go the Shield or something like that. You know what I mean? But appreciate y'all, Cowboys Nation. Let's get up out of here. The Four Horsemen. There we go. Let's roll with that, T-Dub. I like that better. The Four Horsemen. Let's do it. I'll see y'all on Sunday. Make sure y'all enjoy your weekend. Have a safe and fun one. We out of here, man.